Hey, Brandon here, host of the Devy Deep Dive podcast and creator of the Devy Dashboard, man. Thanks for tuning in. Got a great film here. I'm going to outline my top 15 wide receivers post-combine and throw in a couple sleepers at the end for you as well. If you enjoy this film, please hit that subscribe button, and a shout out to all of my listeners on my podcast, Devy Deep Dive. I will be posting this on a feed there as well. You can follow me on Twitter at Devy Deep Dive. And of course, if you want information on the Devy Dashboard, you can hit me up in the show notes below via email or on Twitter. We'll tell you all about it. Please leave a message on below, on the YouTube here. I love interacting with you guys, and just let me know what you think about these rankings. Right? I mean, this is a post-combine rank. Things have changed in my ranks slightly. Probably one or two players maybe moved a little bit more than normal, but I do caution everyone not using the combine 40 numbers and hand size and everything and going a little too overboard. It is just a small piece of the overall puzzle. So again, we got a good idea from watching these players, their athleticism, their speed, but overall play speed is going to be a bigger factor to me than 40 times. But nonetheless, it's information that we have to use as part of our puzzle as we continue to determine the value of these wide receivers as we get ready for our rookie draft. But we have three things yet to happen that are still going to be even more pieces to the puzzle. We got pro days that are going to be happening over the course of the next month. We have the draft, obviously, to determine draft capital. And then we're going to have the landing spots, right? And the landing spots matter. I'm one who always says that. Of course, the talent of these players will always override. But there are certain landing spots that can depress a player's value. Maybe they don't break out as early, so on and so forth. So we have three key things still to kind of go over. So with this, we saw the speed of the 40 times, right? In this particular draft, apparently there were 8 players from the wide receiver class that ran under a sub 440, right? Back in 2019, there were 7. That was the record. So 8 players. So this wide receiver class is looking like it has some speed. Now, there's questions out there whether or not these 40 times are accurate. I can't believe they still actually do these 40 times with someone there with a stopwatch where they just don't have it more like automated. But nonetheless, so we got some fast players, but also keep in mind that these players train for months for these specific drills. So again, just as a word of caution, play speed for me is always going to be trumped over 40 speed. I'm not going to, move some guy way up in the ranks because of a high 40 time if I don't really like what I see on the field at the same time. All right, so let's get right to it, man. Let's dig into the top 15. And then, like I said, I'm going to have 2 kind of players that I haven't done a lot of film work on that I'm anxious to as a result of the combine. I'll mention those towards the latter part of the show. All right, so let's get right to it, man. Here are my top 15. I kind of break them down into tiers as well as ranks within each tier, but nonetheless, I'm more of a tier kind of ranker than a 1, 2, 3. But nonetheless, all right, so the first guy on my list who's been my number 1 receiver in this class, who probably benefited from not having to do anything at the combine, is Jameson Williams from Alabama. So I know a lot of people have TREYLON BURKS here. A lot of people have the Wilson here, and you're going to see these guys here very shortly thereafter. But I really like Jameson Williams, his speed. His speed and his elusiveness and his route running, I think, are fantastic in this class. But his ability to just break away from players in the second level, I think, is something that he has over the rest of the players in this class. So what I'm going to do in this film, I'm going to go through. I mean, he's a tier 1 prospect for me, and then we're also going to talk about draft capital as well as where you can expect them to go in your rookie round at this time. And of course, like I said, we have more information that's coming, but nonetheless, here we are the week shortly thereafter the combine. I see the draft capital of Jameson Williams probably a late first. I think he's going to fall in drafts because he was not able to participate in the combine because obviously he's recovering from the ACL tear, which in my mind is great because he's going to hopefully fall down boards because there's people who are like, well, he's not going to play this fall, so you know what? I'm going to take Wilson, TREYLON BURKS, that's fine. I'm going to be the guy that's going to catch him probably the middle to the end of the first round of rookie drafts. So still should get day 1 draft capital. I haven't seen him mocked out of the first round, so I think he's a lock for a first round rookie as well as an NFL draft pick. All right, coming in at number 2, I've got Garrett Wilson. All right, now I don't think there's a guy with better ball skills than him. He came in with an excellent 40 time in the 95th percentile of 4.38, which is really, really good. So again, I put a film out on this channel, really breaking down Garrett Wilson's film. I think he's the best route runner, in this class. Now, the combine itself, didn't wow us, I think, with anything spectacular, but he was solid overall nonetheless. Looking at mock drafts right now, he is going to be not making it out of the top half of the first round. A lot of projections right now, him going to Cleveland or the Giants and so on and so forth. But he's going to be one of the first top receivers taken off the board. He's going to get early first round draft capital, and he's going to be an early, I can't see him getting out of the later part of the first round in our upcoming rookie draft. So I got Garrett Wilson solidly at number 2. Number 3, I got Drake London, another guy who did not participate in the combine, and probably, as a result of that, because some players, some of these wide receivers maybe fell because of their results. Drake London, recovering from his injury, opted out as well. I would have liked to have seen his 40 time personally. I think it would have been really interesting given his size at 6'4", 219 is what his measurements were that when we weighed in. But you got to love this kid's length. I think his ball skills are outstanding, and he's physical for his size. So he's a yak monster as well. So I like myself some Drake London. I think he is solidly at my number 3. I think as far as draft capital, I think he's like a mid-round first day pick in the NFL draft, and he's going to be one of the first receivers definitely taken off the board in our rookie rounds, in our rookie drafts as well. And the top 4 guys here, going right into my 4th player here, is TREYLON Burks. Okay, he's going to be he's going to be another tier 1 prospect for me. He's going to be drafted in the first round of the rookie in your rookie draft as well as the NFL draft. Now, he disappointed at the combine with a 40 time of 4.55. And there's a lot of people who are comparing him to Debo Samuel, AJ Brown, and I think that might be just a little putting a lot of pressure on this kid to live up to those 2 great players, right? And I think that AJ or TREYLON Burks rather doesn't have the explosiveness that those 2 players showed at the combine when they were at the combine and early in their careers respectively. So, I think TREYLON Burks, there was some disappointment in the overall performance of the combine. Nonetheless, this kid just balled out at Arkansas, a ball hog, great hands, he brings the whole package to the table. And I know there's people out there that have him number 1 in this class, respect that truly. And they, even with that, 4.55 40 time, they haven't moved him down their board. So go with your guy, man. Go with your guy. So these top 4 players are typically not even Jameson Williams. I'm probably the guy that's out there with Jameson Williams number 1. I just love the kid. I think he's explosive as hell. But nonetheless, these top 3, London, Burks, Wilson, whatever you like from your scouting, you go with, man. You pick that guy in your rookie draft. But nonetheless, he's a first-round pick in our rookie drafts as well as the NFL draft. All right, coming in at number 5, I have Chris Olave. Okay, he ran a really nice 40 time, 4.39. He's a tier 1 prospect for me, wide receiver. He's been in my top 5 for months. And, again, the 40 time, I think just solidifies him as a top 5 prospect for me. He's a tier 1 prospect, like I said. He's going to be going in the middle to early part of the first round in the NFL draft. I think as far as the rookie draft, I think he could go later in the first round and maybe even sneak into the second round. And I say that because there's a lot of people out there that aren't really into Olave for many reasons. One primarily being he came back for his senior year, which again, I know everyone loves early declares, but Devonta Smith, it didn't matter for him, and it hasn't mattered for Najee Harris and a lot of other players. So I'm not going to get hung up on that early declare stuff. If the kid can get open and create space for himself, he's going to be successful in the NFL. It doesn't matter. Some of these kids just like to come back for their college season, compete for a national championship to finish off their college season. You can't knock these kids for wanting to do that when they have their whole NFL career in front of them. This kid is a space creator. He's going to get drafted in the first round of the NFL draft without a doubt. He's a lock number 1 pick. And again, he is a guy that I'm going to be targeting as well. Can't wait to see where he lands. All right, this is the last tier 1 prospect for me, and I'm going to go with Jahan Dotson here at number 6, okay? Now, he weighed in a little lighter than expected at 178 pounds, but I'm not really concerned. But he did have a decent 4.43 40. But there is no better guy in this class with a better set of hands. Him and Garrett Wilson, I think, have the best hands in this class. And Dotson has some sticky hands, great ball skills, another space creator, route runner. Not the biggest guy in the world, but he's got great athleticism and his ball skills look effortless. And he can be used at all levels of the field. He can win short, intermediate, vertical, and I think he's going to be an all-around good player. Now, looking at mock drafts this past weekend, he's pretty much at the end of the first round. So he may dip into the early second round, day 2 in the NFL draft. And I think he's going to find himself probably, I'm going to say, an early second round rookie pick. That's where I think he's going to end up, because I think the Wilson, the TREYLON, BURKS, OLAVE, those guys might be, going to go off the board first. So Jahan Dotson again, but if this kid gets a great landing spot in a great situation, it may bump up his rookie draft location. But nonetheless, I think he's going to go in the second round if I had to guess. All right, so we're going to talk. Those were my top 5. They were my top 6 picks. They're my tier 1, right? So now there's going to be a drop off in tiers for me, all right? And I'm going to go with George Pickens, all right? He's going to come in at number 7 for me, all right? He had a solid 40 time of 4.47, early breakout for all the metrics guys out there. Now, this kid to me is a risk reward. I have on my YouTube channel here, I have done a detailed film breakdown that you can go take a look at. George Pickens brings all the physical attributes that you want in a wide receiver: toughness, height, length, physicality, strong hands, good ball skills. It's the intangibles that we're a little concerned about. Go watch my film on YouTube and you'll see what I'm talking about. But nonetheless, I can't knock him down too much farther than number 7, only because of his elite ball skills and his physicality. And I think an NFL team is going to look at him and think that if he interviews well at the combine, let's hope he interviewed well at the combine. I think his draft capital is going to be day 2, day 3. Day 2, round 2, or round 3. And as far as, our rookie picks, I think he is going to probably be a second round pick, right? Early second round. Then our rookie picks, again, landing spot's going to matter for sure. And his draft capital, I think between his draft capital and his landing spot, I think Pickens is kind of that risk reward player that I'm willing to take a chance on. He's been one of my favorite players for a long time. Yes, I'm concerned about the fact that he doesn't give an effort all the time on the field, but perhaps that, there is maybe no more physical, better ball skills player in the NFL draft when he wants to play and is out on the field. All right. Coming in at number 8 is Mr. John Metchie, another player who did not participate in the combine for injury reasons. He's kind of the forgotten class. He's like the forgotten wide receiver of the 2022 class, right? He's been injured most of the years, we know. But he's going to get the Bama bump from playing in Alabama. Comes in with decent size, 5'11", 187. I think, he's got good skills, and I think at this point of ranking these wide receivers, I'm comfortable with taking John Metchie here, number 8, especially with the players, behind him. Again, because he played in the SEC. I've done film studies on him. I watched a ton of film. Would have loved to have seen what his speed was and his agility drills. But nonetheless, I'm pretty confident that John Metchie's probably going to get day 2 draft capital, only because he played at Bama, and he played very well when he was healthy. And I think he's going to be a second round pick, but I could see him falling in our rookie drafts into the 3rd round as people start maybe loading up on the second tier running backs, because John Metchie might not get that early draft capital that we're looking for because of his injury. But nonetheless, I think that, I can't knock him down. He can't get out of my top 10 at this point. All right. Coming in at number 9 is going to be Mr. Christian Watson. There is no hotter player right now, wide receiver in the NFL draft, than this kid, right? He comes from North Dakota State University. Again, on my YouTube channel here, I've got a full film breakdown of showing him his traits. Feel free to go take a look at that in depth. I was a little hard on him on the film review. We all know that this kid is a physical player. We know that he's fast. He came in, he just dazzled. I mean, you're looking at his percentiles here of his workout metrics for the combine. He was, in the high percentiles for just about every category, just lighting it up. He ran a 4.36, had a 30.5 vertical and 11'4" broad jump. So that's showing his athleticism. No doubt about it, this kid's got some speed for his size. No doubt about it, he's an athletic player. However, playing in the NFL with the big boys, it's got to be more than that, right? We talked at the top of the show about it being more play speed over 40 speed. So yes, he brings the speed and the athleticism, but can he get open in the NFL is what I'm going to be watching and looking for. But I've got to put him in my top 10 because he is going to be getting the draft capital right now. I just saw 2 mocks yesterday that he was going in the 1st round. So now this is one of these kids that the NFL is going to get all tied up, all into his speed, his athleticism, and yes, he is a raw receiver who's going to need some time. And I'm sure there's an NFL team out there that's going to think that they can make him into a great player. So because he's getting that day 2 draft capital, or that day 1, possible day 1 draft capital. Definitely a day 2 draft capital without a doubt. Probably an early round, mid-round rookie draft pick number 2. So I got Christian Watson coming in at number 10. All right, another player that just killed it at the Combine that everyone's excited about, and I've got to put him in here at number 10. He is one of my risers. Christian Watson was a riser. Sky Moore I had earlier at number 13 or 14 in my ranks. I put him now in my top 10. Mr. Sky Moore, another big winner at the Combine. 90th percentile in the 4.41. Has the biggest hands of, we thought TREYLON BURKS had the biggest hands of the class. Well, this kid comes in with 10.25-inch hands, and it was really interesting because when I was watching the Combine, I'm watching this kid run and catch passes, and he had these big, bright white gloves on. His hands look freaking huge, and now I know why, because they are huge. But anyway, he showed his burst, his agility. The guys were slobbering all over this kid. He is a draft riser, it's a very successful scouting combine. Again, I have a full detailed, film breakdown on Sky Moore on my YouTube channel here, so feel free to go take a look at that. We came away impressed with his ball skills. He's got some good speed, obviously. He's shown that in his 40 times. My only concern was his route running at the time. He's a twitchy athlete, but he's going to need to really, I think, improve his technique and the variety of routes that he runs in the NFL to create separation. But nonetheless, man, he is going to be a slot player in the NFL. I really feel that's where his landing spot will be. And again, the NFL loves speed and loves twitchy, smaller players. Came in at 5'10", 195 pounds, almost the exact same size as Jalen Waddle. So he's looking like a poor man's Jalen Waddle. Not nearly as explosive, not nearly as physical, but he's got the same kind of size as him. And right now, he is a stock up for Sky Moore. He is just going to be rising up draft boards, all right? Coming in at number 11 is Mr. David Bell. He is my biggest faller. He was at number 6 or 7 for me, or maybe 7 or 8 in my last set of ranks before I revised after the Combine. But his testing, again, is something that has to make you have a little bit of pause. Now, going into the Combine, most of the concerns with David Bell was the fact that what his route running and separation skills were. We know the guy's made tremendous ball skills down the field, good tracking ability, certainly was a productive player at Purdue. But in the NFL, you got to create space, man, and that's what the name of the game is. And so there's been questions about whether or not David Bell could do that. And then he comes in with a 4.6 40 time. His, the percentiles of all of the other metrics in the scouting combine, he really did not do well in. So now there's a big question on his overall athleticism, and I'm putting guys like Christian Watson ahead of him and Sky Moore ahead of him because they're faster athletes, they're better athletes, and at that point, if they can create space, David Bell has to fall for me right now. So he's going to get probably day 2 draft capital, I'm thinking. He's in my tier 2 still. But I think in our rookie rounds, I could see him falling to the 3rd round. If he doesn't have a great pro day and he gets, early day 3 draft capital and on like a not so good landing spot, I can see David Bell kind of falling. But again, go take a look at his overall metrics from the scouting combine. They really weren't all that great. I'm not trying to overreact. I'm going to go with other players that are faster, have more, space creation ability, because I think that's really the name of the game in the NFL. Coming in at number 12, KHALIL SHAKIR, a player who kind of was at number 12 or 13 for me on my last set of ranks. So he really hasn't moved much. But he came in with a great 40 time, 4.43 for his size at 6 foot, 196 pounds. I think he's going to be he's in my tier 3. He's going to this is, I believe, the start of my tier 3 prospects. KHALIL SHAKIR is at the top of that tier. I think he's going to be a late day 2, but most likely probably an early day 3 pick. So again, this is where we start getting chalky when it comes to, the success of these wide receivers. When you start getting in the day 3, middle of day 3 and later, it's probably not looking so good. So let's hope that he can get some day 2 draft capital. That will, I think, help his stock as well. And I think he's going to be a late round 2, probably most likely a round 3 rookie pick again, depending on where he lands. But I mean, this kid can really play, man. He makes hard cuts. Watched a lot of film on this kid. He's a decent route runner. I like his physicality. He breaks tackles. He's good with yards after the catch. He's a twitchy kind of player for me. I've seen enough where I think he can create space. So I mean, KHALIL SHAKIR, I'm excited about him. He came in had a pretty nice combine. You know, not all of his metrics were fantastic, but as far as his speed score and, you know, his 40 time, he did pretty good. So, all right, coming in at number 13, another bit of a faller for me, okay? And this is Mr. Wan'Dale Robinson, all right, in my tier 3 prospects. Okay, everybody going into the combine, everybody was talking before the combine about what height is really Wan'Dale Robinson. Okay, now in his school, he was listed at 5'10", and people saw, you know, pictures out there with him standing next to people like Rondale Moore, and he looks smaller than Rondale Moore. Well, he comes in, measures in at 5'8", 178 pounds. Now, Robinson, man, he transferred to the SEC and dominated, had a great year this year, and then in the Citrus Bowl, I mean, the kid had 10 catches, 170 yards, and just dominated. So listen, I have a Wan'Dale film on this YouTube channel as well, so I encourage you to go take a look at that. This kid can play too. Now, he comes in at 5'8", so that's a big concern. There's 3 players that are on our dynasty rosters right now that are 5'9", that are borderline, I'm going to say wide receiver 3s. We got Marquise Brown, Elijah Moore, and Rondale Moore are all 5'9" listed right now, okay? There aren't many players in the NFL at 5'8", all right? So right then and there, you have to have some sort of concern. It's a physical game, right? I mean, you have to have at least some, again, 5'8", 178 pounds on the lighter side. Good amount of weight for his size and height. I don't have what his adjusted, score would be for that right in front of me here. But he's going to have to be special to make it on an NFL roster and be a contributor on our dynasty team. He's most likely a day 3 pick, I think, at this point because of this size. I think he's a late round, 3rd pick probably in our rookie drafts as well. But I was really disappointed. I was also hoping that he didn't come in so short because size matters to a certain degree in the NFL when it comes to these skill positions. So again, for him to be successful in the NFL, he is going to have to be twitchy as hell. He's going to have to be able to just create space like crazy and get open. But he's a tough little player, man, when you go back and watch his film. All right, coming in at number 14, Alec Pierce from Cincinnati. Okay, he is in my tier 3 ranks right now. He is a riser for me in these ranks. He probably might continue to rise. I have to watch a little bit more film on him. But nonetheless, man, this kid just killed it at the Senior Bowl. All right, he comes in 6'3", 211 with a 4.41 40. And it was, it's 4.33, it was 4.33, and it was the 6th fastest of the day. But so, he looked a little stiff when you watched him at Cincinnati. He kind of didn't look like, but his testing scores here are just off the charts. I mean, I'm looking at 4 of them here out of 5 came into over the 90th percentile. So what it tells you is this kid has got some physicality to him. He's got some athletic ability. I'm going to go back and watch some more film on him because he, again, not to overreact because of the combine scores, but nonetheless, I mean, he obviously has the speed for that size. It's pretty spectacular, right? But again, on the field, he looked good. He was in a lot of contested catch situations. So again, it comes down to the size and be able to create space. If there's a team out there looking for a more imposing physical vertical receiver, Alec Pierce might fit the bill. Right now, he's in my tier 3, and I think he's probably an early day 3 pick. If I had to guess, may sneak into the second round, or this day 2, second or third round of the draft. I'm not sure. But this kid's going to be a late 3rd round, I think, rookie pick, no matter where he lands and stuff like that, because I think this kid will have his doubters. All right, coming in at number 15 is a little bit of a flyer and a chalky pick for me here. Well, no, I guess you can't be a flyer and chalky. I'm going to say a little bit of a flyer pick, and I'm going to go with Kevin Austin, again, based on his combine. So this is a little bit of a fun pick for me here at the end. I watched film on him yesterday morning. He's had some impressive plays at Notre Dame. Now, the kid, if you're a metrics and analytics guys, you're not going to like this kid at all because he didn't do shit in 2020. In 2020, he had 1 catch, all right, in 2018, he had 5 receptions. In 2019, he didn't play at all. But this year, he had 48 receptions, 880 yards, and 7 TDs, playing with Jack Cohn in Notre Dame, and really played well. So he was been injured a lot during his year, but he comes into the combine and he just kills it. And all of a sudden, he is a little bit on the radar. And of all the other receivers out there I'm looking at, I'm going to throw Kevin Austin here as my 15th guy based on his combine and what I watched yesterday morning watching his film. I think this kid is super athletic. He showed some flashes on the field. Have to watch more film, but nonetheless, he's going to be a day 3 pick, no doubt. But he's going to be a 4th round pick probably in a rookie draft, but maybe somebody, that you can target in your later rounds on your rookie drafts. All right. So 2 guys that you might be looking at yourself like, hey man, where's Jalen Tolbert and Calvin Austin after their combine performances? They're not close here. But Tolbert plays for the Sun Belt. Played for the Sun Belt again, and not many players from the Sun Belt Conference make it in the NFL. And Austin is just really small too, and there's just not that many small players that really make it to our dynasty rosters that are super dynamic. Calvin Austin might be one of those players that jumps up after a good pro day and gets the draft capital. I'll be doing this show again probably shortly after the NFL draft, which will be a lot of fun. 2 sleepers for you, just to do more film work on. I'm going to go back. I've watched a lot of TYQUAN Thornton. He came in bigger than I thought. He looks very skinny on the field, made some spectacular catches at Baylor. And Velus Jones of Tennessee, I'm going to admit I have not watched a lot of film on him. He's another guy that played pretty well this season and had a great combine. So those are 2 guys that I'm going to be watching a little bit. Maybe I'll be popping some films on my YouTube channel here on those guys and do some player breakdowns. But the last parting shots before I let you go here is just remember, we only on average get maybe at most 10 wide receivers a draft class. This draft class came in pretty fast with the combine results. So, that's a good, but we might get a little bit more than 10, but as much as we love all of these players and think that all of them have this great opportunity, in reality, not to, put a damper on the end of the show here, but in reality, we get at most 10 to 12 consistently dynasty players who produce consistent results and cannot be just flex players, but players that consistently put points on our board for our dynasty rosters. So, all right, man, that is my show. And like I said, after the draft, I'll do another show like this and maybe do a little comparison show to where it was from this one to that one. But nonetheless, man, listen, I hope you enjoyed it and let me know what you think. Tell me in the comments below, man. Do you think that, you like what I got here, or tell me if I'm out of my mind? Either way, I hope you enjoyed the show. And for all my podcast listeners, listen to this. Take care as well, man. So thanks again.